Tonight, another apparent attempt on former President Donald Trump's life.
At this level that he is at right now, he's not the sitting president. If he was, we would have had this entire golf course around him.
The latest as the investigation into the suspect and his motive kicks into full gear. Plus, the Justice Department targets TikTok. Will the popular app be forced to shut down in the United States? And
these children aren't being welcomed into families. They're growing up in institutions, they're growing up on the streets.
What China's international adoption ban means for kids who need a home. All this and more tonight on Faith Nation. New details about the man suspected of trying to assassinate former President Donald Trump. Good evening and welcome to Faith Nation from CBN's headquarters right here in Virginia Beach. I'm John Jessup. Well, tonight, Ryan Wesley Routh remains in jail after appearing in a federal courtroom in Florida. CBN correspondent Michelle London has the latest on his hearing, as well as reaction from lawmakers in the wake of a second assassination attempt. She joins us now from Washington. Michelle, what's the latest you've been hearing?
Well, John, good evening to you. Tonight, Ralph faces 2 weapons charges, and we're learning more about his past and background. Here in Washington, President Biden and members of Congress are calling for increased security around the former president, as Trump posted to his Truth Social account today, thanking law enforcement and Secret Service agents for an outstanding job done.
Thank God the president's okay.
One day after the second attempt on the life of former President Trump, Biden called on Congress to take action.
One thing I want to make clear, the service needs more help.
During an interview with Fox News, House Speaker Mike Johnson added his response.
So we are demanding in the House that he have every asset available, and we will make more available if necessary.
Speaker Johnson and his wife Kelly were on their way to Mar-a-Lago Sunday to visit the former president when the shooting happened, adding that Trump needs more attention.
He's the most attacked. He's the most threatened, even probably more than when he was in the Oval Office.
Sunday, while Trump played golf at his club with a friend, Secret Service agents spotted a man in the bushes with a rifle pointed at the former president. Agents opened fire, causing him to quickly flee in his vehicle.
Take 2 steps to your right!
2 miles down the highway, local sheriff's deputies surrounded him.
And we just surround the vehicle and then force it to a stop.
West Palm Beach Sheriff William Snyder said at least 30 patrol vehicles responded, eventually apprehending 58-year-old Ryan Wesley Routh. Authorities say Ralph left behind an AK-47 style rifle, 2 backpacks, and a GoPro camera hanging on the fence. Monday, Ralph appeared before a federal court in West Palm Beach, where he's facing 2 charges, including possession of a firearm as a convicted felon and possession of a firearm with a destroyed serial number.
How does a guy from not here get all the way to Trump International, realize that the former president of the United States is golfing and is able to get a rifle in that vicinity?
This photo appears to show Routh at a demonstration in Kyiv supporting Ukraine. Sources close to this investigation say they're looking into whether Routh had any frustrations with Trump's position on the war in Ukraine. The bigger question, Snyder says, that needs to be answered is whether this attempt is an isolated case or possibly part of something larger.
If he's a lone gunman, President Trump is that much safer because we have him.
And body cam records show Ralph may have been in the area for 12 hours before Secret Service agents spotted his rifle and opened fire. John?
All right, Washington correspondent Michelle London reporting. Thank you so much, Michelle. Well, right now, let's bring in Tim Miller. He is the founder and president of Lionheart. Tim, I understand, as we talked right before the show, that you are originally based in West Palm County, Florida. You're traveling right now. Though, as a former Secret Service agent, can you walk us through the investigation? I know it's early on right now, but what's the FBI's priority at this stage of the investigation?
Well, I certainly think the FBI is pursuing the immediate concerns. They're going to be looking at his digital media. We know some of his past and some of his beliefs, but the more immediate concern is he tied to anyone else that's like-minded? Does he have connections either organizationally or individually with others? And then how did this happen? There are reports out there that he was on site for 12 hours prior to actually getting in position to attack the president. And so there are a lot of questions, and unfortunately, there's still a lot of questions unanswered from Butler. So I think all of us are anxious to hear those answers.
To the point you just mentioned, on the one hand, the Secret Service were able to catch the suspect before he opened fire, but he was still able to get roughly 400 yards from the former president with a rifle, and as you just stated, for 12 hours in advance. With your background and training, how would you evaluate how the Secret Service handled this?
Well, let's be clear. This is a failure for the Secret Service. Now, with that said, the heroic actions of the agent, the heroic actions of the bystander, the heroic actions, quite frankly, of the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office were spectacular. But remember, the Secret Service is a proactive security organization, meaning that we go in advance to sites to make sure that the site is safe for the protectee to come into. In this case, again, the second time in 2 months, you had a man with a rifle. By the way, I was a Marine. I'm very familiar with that AK-47 rifle, and it's very effective without any sights up to about 300 to 400 yards. But he had a scope on it, which means it was deadly up to and including 1,000 yards. And so there's a lot of questions as to how this was allowed to happen. Now, Sheriff Bradshaw stated clearly that President Trump was not being viewed in the same light that a sitting president would be. I think it's time for that nonsense to go away. President Trump has had one near-death experience and now a second plot to kill him, and he should have the resources appropriate with the threats. The fact that he's a former president has nothing to do with this. He is the highest threat profile protectee that the Secret Service has. We
just have a few seconds left, but if I can ask you, how do you think the Secret Service is going to reevaluate how it protects former President Trump moving forward?
Well, I hope, we heard that discussion the last time with Butler that they were going to increase resources. But I hope now the resources are proportionate to what a sitting president would get. That's the only answer. They need to push out these perimeters, and they're just not doing it. It's a second attempt in 2 months. That's unfathomable.
All right, Tim Miller, thank you so much for your time and your expert analysis.
Thanks for having me.
Well, now to the race for the White House. Polls show most Americans believe Kamala Harris won last week's debate against Donald Trump, yet the showdown did little to move the needle for either candidate. A new national survey shows Harris with a 4-point lead over Trump among registered voters. That's the same lead she had before the debate. Both candidates now are zeroing in on the issue that matters the most to voters in this election cycle, the economy.
Shrink the economy, reignite inflation, and send us into a recession by the middle of next year.
And when I'm back in that beautiful White House, we will pass larger tax cuts for workers, and we have a special tax that here is going to do, I think, quite well.
Polls show more Americans believe Trump will handle the economy, inflation, and immigration more effectively, while they prefer Harris on issues like gun violence, health care, and abortion. Well, in other news, Israel carried out another wave of deadly strikes on the Gaza Strip today. Meanwhile, concerns of potential political upheaval in Jerusalem only grow. Israeli media are reporting that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is preparing to fire his defense minister over disagreements about Israel's war strategy. Here in Washington, Israeli opposition leader Yair Lapid met with U.S. leaders today. He said politics should not get in the way of a hostage deal.
We will do everything that is necessary in order to make sure that there is a hostage deal. I believe that any political interests should be set aside for this. This is way more important. Israel as a nation will not heal unless we will bring them back home.
Over the weekend, the Iranian-backed Houthis fired a long-range ballistic missile at Tel Aviv. Prime Minister Netanyahu says the terror group will pay a heavy price for the attack. Up next, the U.S. government goes toe-to-toe taking on TikTok in a high-stakes court battle, the future of the popular app in America, when Faith Nation returns. Welcome back. A head-to-head fight in federal court played out today between the U.S. government and TikTok in a case that could determine the future of the popular app here in America. TikTok and its parent company, China-based ByteDance, are challenging a U.S. law that requires them to break ties or face a January 2025 ban in the United States. The U.S. government sees TikTok as a national security threat due to its connections to the Chinese government. However, TikTok's parent company says the law used to resolve those concerns is unconstitutional. The legal battle is expected to reach all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. Well, Daniel Cochran is a senior research associate for the Tech Policy Center at the Heritage Foundation and joins us now for more. Daniel, welcome to you. So can you lay out what's at stake in this case? What happens if the U.S. government is successful and wins the case? And what does it mean if TikTok ultimately is successful?
Well, this case is very important for the future of America's national security. You know, TikTok has over 170 million users here in the U.S. alone. Many of those are teens and young people. And the problem is that this app is collecting data, constantly collecting data on every keystroke, every scroll, every image. And it allows the Chinese Communist Party, again, TikTok is owned by ByteDance, a Chinese company headquartered in China. And TikTok essentially allows the Chinese Communist Party to dictate their content and to influence the American public ahead of a major election. The reason this case is really important, if the U.S. government prevails, it will mean that TikTok, the application, may still exist in the U.S., but it can no longer be controlled and owned by a foreign company in an adversarial nation like China, North Korea, or Iran. It would have to be owned by a company in a Western country or a country that's not on the list of foreign adversaries of the U.S. If TikTok prevails, what it means is that ByteDance, the Chinese parent owner of TikTok, will be able to continue influencing the American populace, and that's a really dangerous thing.
Daniel, it seems like one of the core questions here is who really owns TikTok's powerful algorithm. It's either the American company that runs the app, or is it the Chinese parent ByteDance? How will that answer determine the outcome of this case?
Well, of course, ByteDance claims that it's impossible to separate the U.S. app from the Chinese infrastructure. And regardless of whether or not that's true, we have to consider that TikTok in its current configuration is a major national security threat because not only of the information it's collecting on users, but the ways in which it's been weaponized by the Chinese Communist Party against narratives that are anti-CCP. So over and over again, TikTok has censored pro-democracy rallies in Hong Kong. They actually just a few months ago were collecting data on sensitive social topics here in the U.S. And so the reality is that this company is using its algorithms to manipulate the American public. And if it's truly the case that TikTok can't operate without the CCP controlling the algorithms, then the company will just need to shut down. But otherwise, it'll have to transfer total ownership to an American company, or a company at least that's not headquartered in China.
All right, we're going to have to leave it right there. Daniel Cochran, Senior Research Associate for the Tech Policy at the Heritage Center. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for your analysis.
Thank you.
Coming up, China closes shop on international adoptions. When we come back, the role Chinese Christians could play to help give these kids a home. Welcome back. A California pastor is free and back on American soil tonight after spending nearly 2 decades in a Chinese prison. Chinese authorities questioned David Lynn in 2006 while building an unauthorized Christian training center in Beijing. He was then detained and sentenced to life in prison on fraud charges. Lynn has denied all wrongdoing. The State Department commenting on his release tonight that it welcomes his return. Well, joining us now is Stephen Schnek, chair of the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom. Dr. Schnek, thank you so much for joining us. So can I ask, how did you learn of Pastor Lynn's release, and what's your reaction?
Like everyone else, we learned when this was announced on the 15th. So we are extremely pleased and grateful for this release, and grateful, too, for everyone in our government and abroad who's been working for Pastor Lynn's release.
So can you walk us back and explain why Pastor Lynn was detained in the first place, and why did it take nearly 20 years for him to be freed?
Pastor Lynn is part of the Chinese Protestant house church movement, which is a group of Christians in China that has refused to go along with or cooperate with the state-sanctioned Three Self Church. And since Xi Jinping has come to power, these house churches have come under increasing pressure. And it was in that capacity that Pastor Lynn was arrested and prosecuted and imprisoned.
Can you talk about the risk for other Christians in China? Do they face similar treatment, or is this an isolated, unique case?
It remains, in fact, tremendously scary for Christians in China, particularly Christians that refuse to go along with the Communist Party's efforts to control churches in the country. So it's a situation that's bad, and frankly a situation that's worsening in recent years.
So why aren't we seeing more? Why is there not more forceful statements and forceful calls to action from the U.S. government, whether it be from the executive branch or even lawmakers on Capitol Hill, to kind of place a broad focus on this issue?
You know, it's difficult to understand why. I mean, China has for more than a decade been named as a country of particular concern by the State Department in regards to its violations of religious freedom. So this is, in fact, something that our government is aware of. But, I fear that for reasons of international geopolitics, our concern with, China's role in the world, that issues like religious freedom sometimes don't get the attention that they desperately need.
Can you talk about how the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom is fighting for Christians, and not just Christians, but other religious minorities in China?
Yeah, actually, in fact, let me take a moment to note that, it's not just Christians. It's Muslim Uyghurs, it's Tibetan Buddhists, it's underground Catholics, it's the Falun Gong, it's a whole host of minority religions in China that are really under the boot of what's happening right now.
Is there anything else you'd like to add while we have you here on the subject of China and the threats when it comes to religious persecution for religious minorities?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd really like to, to encourage your listeners, to urge the United States government and like-minded international partners around the world to really target China with sanctions on its officials who are involved in the repression of religious freedom in the country.
All right, U.S. Commissioner Schnek, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for helping us understand what's taking place over there in China when it comes to Christians and other religious minorities.
Thank you for raising this important issue.
Well, in other news, China has ended its international adoption program, stopping all pending cases regardless of where they are in the stage. That's left many families in limbo. Over the last 3 decades, more than 160,000 Chinese children have been adopted abroad, including by many Americans. CBN's Charlene Aaron takes a closer look behind the decision and the overall impact.
This is a tragic turn of events.
Jed Medifind, president of the Christian Alliance for Orphans, tells CBN News China's move puts hundreds of American families in limbo, leaving them heartbroken.
There are many folks out there, including some dear friends of our families, who have walked that road for many years. They have actually been matched with a precious child and have been anticipating traveling to bring her home. And at this point, it looks like that will never happen.
China's foreign ministry spokesperson saying, "We are grateful for the desire and love of the governments and adoptive families of relevant countries to adopt Chinese children," adding the only exception will be for families who are adopting the children or stepchildren of blood relatives in China. The U.S. State Department is still seeking clarity on how this change will impact those families already in the adoption process. China's government began allowing international adoptions in 1992 out of concerns of overpopulation. Its one-child policy often forced families to abandon children, especially baby girls and those born with disabilities. Now faced with one of the world's lowest birth rates, China is reversing course, joining a global trend including countries such as Denmark, Russia, and Norway. Medifind still worries about the children affected by the decision.
Even though they've closed the door to inter-country adoption, these children aren't being welcomed into families. They're growing up in institutions, they're growing up on the streets. And so that is really the profound challenge.
Some taking to social media to express disapproval of the news. As a person who was adopted from China by an American family, this is truly heartbreaking. I cannot imagine a life without my loving family, Jackson Arcuri commented on Instagram. It is a gap Medifind hopes the church in China will be able to fill.
My earnest prayer is that the church in China, which is substantive and continues to grow, will really step up for these children in China, that they will be willing to consider the very countercultural choice to welcome a child that has special needs, that is an older orphan, that may come from a sibling group.
A prayer many believers hope to see answered for so many children in need. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Important story. Thank you so much, Charlene. Well, you've probably seen a lot of parades, but one not like this before. Stay tuned. Next on Faith Nation. Finally tonight, a parade of elephant sculptures descended on New York over the weekend for what's called the Great Elephant Migration. The art installation features a total of 100 life-size elephant sculptures, one of the largest outdoor public art installations in the Big Apple, placed throughout the city's meatpacking district. They're made of an invasive species of weed known to push animals out of their natural habitats. It's all part of a global fundraiser that tours American cities to teach about animals and support wildlife conservation. The exposition runs through next month. You can catch it if you travel in enough time through October 20th. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this edition of Faith Nation. We hope to see you right back here tomorrow. Have a great night.